Carlos Sainz and Red Bull are being linked again, but this is not a transfer announcement. It's a story about a possible opening, a driver keeping his options open, and a lot of rumours that needed to be handled carefully. Over the last few days, reports and social media posts have claimed that Sainz has contacted Red Bull or that his management has opened the door to a possible return for 2027. It sounds like a big move, especially while Max Verstappen's future is still being discussed. But before anyone starts putting Carlos in a Red Bull race suit, we need to separate what we know from what people are assuming. There is no confirmed contract, there is no confirmed offer, and there's been no official statement from Sainz, Williams or Red Bull saying formal negotiations are underway. The safest and most accurate description is this: there are rumours of early contact, and Sainz is believed to be interested if a Red Bull seat becomes available. A rumour can be interesting without becoming a fact. The strongest public report came from BBC F1 analyst Andrew Benson. Speaking on the Checkered Flag podcast, Benson said that Sainz is hoping for Red Bull and hoping Max Verstappen leaves so that a seat becomes available. That doesn't prove Sainz personally sent a message, it does however give the rumour a real basis. This is not just a fan account inventing a move on a quiet day. The story has a source, but it doesn't have a signature. GP Blog has also reported that there are rumours Sainz has already spoken with Red Bull, but it included the line people often miss: conversations do not mean there's a deal. In Formula 1, drivers, managers and teams talk constantly. They talk to prepare for a possibility, they talk to understand contracts, they talk because a situation may change months from now. Most of those conversations lead nowhere. Personally, I think that's exactly why this needs calm reporting rather than a headline saying the move is done. So why would Carlos Sainz want this door open? The answer begins with Williams. His move there made sense. James Vowles sold him a long-term project, a clear vision, and a chance to help one of Formula One's biggest names return towards the front. Sainz bought into that plan. He said the project made him fall in love with Williams. The Williams project wasn't a mistake, it's just become slower than expected. The problem is that 2026 has been harder than Sainz expected. Williams have struggled with an underperforming car, and Sainz has been honest about what that means. Before the Hungarian Grand Prix, he said his expected timeline for fighting for wins again had been delayed by 1 or 2 years. He also said his decision depends on how quickly Williams can bounce back. This was not an attack on Williams, he also spoke positively about the investment and the work happening behind the scenes. But it was not a promise that he will wait forever. At 31, after Toro Rosso, Renault, McLaren and Ferrari, he knows another chance at a front-running team may not come around many more times. Be honest, if you were in his place, how long would you wait for a project to come good? Carlos isn't panicking, he's protecting his future. If a Red Bull opportunity exists, it makes complete sense for Sainz to explore it. He knows the Red Bull environment, he raced for Toro Rosso, now Racing Bulls in 2015 and 2016. His teammate for much of that period was a young Max Verstappen. At that time, they were both competing for the same future inside Red Bull's program. Their careers then went in very different directions. Verstappen was promoted to Red Bull Racing and became a 4-time world champion. Sainz built a strong career elsewhere, becoming a Ferrari race winner and a dependable team leader. So the idea of a Red Bull return is not strange. I actually think this old connection makes the rumour more believable than most transfer talk, even if it remains only a rumour. The connection is real, the available seat is the question. And that's the first major problem with this story. There may not be a Red Bull seat available in the first place. Lauren Mekies has said that many good drivers are inquiring about Red Bull seats. That's completely normal. Red Bull remains one of the biggest teams in Formula 1. If there is even a small question mark over Verstappen's future, drivers and managers will make a call. They'd be foolish not to. If a Red Bull seat opens, almost every manager will notice. But Mekies has also been clear about Red Bull's own position. He called Verstappen and Ishak Hadjar the team's ideal pairing and said Red Bull is trying to keep them together. That's the official starting point. Red Bull are not publicly searching for a replacement for either driver, they're trying to retain the drivers they already have. That makes the route for Sainz very simple, even if the story itself is not. If Verstappen stays, the rumour probably goes nowhere. If Verstappen leaves, the entire market changes in one afternoon. But even then, Sainz will not automatically become the favourite for that seat. And this only becomes serious if Max creates the vacancy. Red Bull have a long history of looking inside their own system. Hadjar has made a strong impression in the main team, while Arvid Lindblad and Liam Lawson are also part of a wider Red Bull picture. Bringing in Sainz would mean choosing proven experience over the internal ladder. Would that make sense on performance alone? I think there's a fair case that it would. Sainz is fast, calm under pressure and technically strong. He knows how to work with engineers and he's adapted quickly at every team he's joined. If Red Bull suddenly lost Verstappen, it might value someone who can score points from the first race rather than someone who needs time to learn the team under a microscope. Now, experience can be valuable when a team loses its main reference point. But replacing Verstappen is not a normal job. Nobody simply replaces Max Verstappen. The driver who takes that seat will be compared with him every weekend, in every radio message and after every qualifying session. Sainz has worked alongside elite drivers before, including Verstappen, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. Yet a Red Bull seat after Max would still be a very different kind of pressure. Would you even take that job, knowing that every result will be measured against Max from day one? There's also the question of what Red Bull would actually need. If Max leaves, does it want a steady, experienced driver like Sainz to lead the team through a difficult transition? Does it want to make an even bigger move for another driver from a top team? Or does it promote someone from within and trust its own next generation? We don't know. Anyone who says they know the answer is guessing. Replacing Max is not the same as filling an empty seat. That's why I don't see this rumour as nonsense, but I also wouldn't call it likely today. It has a logical foundation. Williams have not delivered what Sainz hoped for in 2026. He's openly reviewing his future. Red Bull is a top team. Max's future has created uncertainty, and Sainz has history with the Red Bull system. But the chain has to be perfect for it to happen. Max will need to leave. Red Bull will need to decide not to choose an internal driver or another available star. Sainz will need to decide that leaving Williams is worth it, and all of that will need to happen before another option closes. It is possible, but there are a lot of ifs. Reported contact is not proof that a driver is unhappy or desperate to leave. A top driver's management team is supposed to know what's available. That's part of its job. If Sainz's camp has already made early contact with Red Bull, it doesn't mean he's given up on Williams. It means that they're doing sensible work. Williams now need to show that the delay is temporary, not the new normal. Their upgrades and pace after the summer break will matter a lot. Williams can still keep Carlos. That part is in its hands. Sainz has not closed the Williams door. His own comments make that clear. He still sees the investment and he still says the project gives him confidence, but confidence is not certainty. A driver of his quality is right to look around while he has options. My personal view is simple. I'd be surprised if Carlos Sainz has not at least explored what Red Bull could look like. Most drivers on the grid would do the same, but I would be equally surprised if Red Bull has made him any promise while it's still working to keep Verstappen and Hadjar together. Exploring an option is smart, calling it a move is too early. So this is a story to follow, not a move to announce. The rumours do not appear from nowhere. They connect several real facts in the driver market, but there are still rumours, and that's the right way to treat them until someone involved says something more concrete. What do you think? If Max Verstappen left Red Bull, would Carlos Sainz be the right replacement? Or would you give a Red Bull Junior driver the chance instead? And if you were Carlos, would you stay patient with Williams or take the first real opportunity to return to a top team? This could be nothing, or it could be the first move. This is where we'll leave it for now. No deal, no official offer, and no reason to pretend this transfer is already happening. But Carlos Sainz is clearly thinking about 2027. Red Bull is a team every driver watches, and Max Verstappen's decision could still change everything. Keep an eye on this one, share your view in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.